Okay, ladies and gentlemen, today we're going to talk about VLANs, specifically how to create them. So we are going to use a layer 2 switch and a layer 3 switch here. We're going to go to the layer 2 switch first. So what you want to do is you want to go to CLI, and once you're there, let's just enlarge this a little bit, and we're going to hit enter in our keyboard, and right here we're going to type in enable or just N, and we are on privilege mode. We're going to go to config T. Now we're on global mode. And what we can do here is basically create the VLANs. Now it could be very easily to create the VLANs. All you really have to do is just type in VLAN. And let's say we're creating VLAN 100. And there you go. We created a VLAN 100. Now you notice where it says switch config VLAN. That means you're on VLAN 100. So we are going to name that VLAN. So we're going to type in name, and let's say we are going to do this for HR, and just hit enter. A good practice would be to always check or verify that that VLAN is created. Sometimes you have to exit out of config VLAN to show, but let's double check. So let's go show, do show VLAN brief. And as you can tell, VLAN 100 is here, and we have our default VLAN there. So just for the sake of exercise, we are going to go back again and create another one. Just hit Ctrl Z on your keyboard, and we're going to go to config T again. Remember, once you're in config T, just type in VLAN. So now we're going to do VLAN 200, and we are going to name this name IT department. I'm going to name it IT department, and we're going to hit enter. So now the question may come, which is how do we transfer some of the ports here to these VLANs that we created? Wait, first let's double check if that VLAN was created. So you can either go all the way back here and user mode and type in show VLAN brief, or just VLAN B, or you could have been on config and just type in do show VLAN brief. And now let's say we want to transfer port 1 all the way to port 5 to HR. So what you want to do first is you want to go to config T, and from there you're going to want to go to the interface. So we're going to go enter, and we're going to type in F01. Actually, we are going to type in range because we're going to do all of them at the same time. Range F01, and just hit dash, and we're heading to 5, correct? Click 5, and we are going to do enter. And now we can manipulate this how we want to. So now what you want to do is you want to switch them to access port first. So the way to do that is we're going to do switch port mode access and hit enter. Once you've made them into access mode, you can now transfer them. I'll show you in a scenario where you can't transfer them once they're in dynamic port. So let's do switch port access VLAN 100. So we are so we're going to transfer these ports to the HR department, switch port access VLAN 100. And we're going to hit enter. Now from here we're going to do show VLAN brief, or just B, and there you go. As you can tell, we already have all these ports on the HR VLAN. So we're gonna do the same thing with port 6 all the way to port 15 to the IT department. We're gonna transfer them to the IT department, and you can either do it from here and just type in enter and type in 0, 6. Don't forget the range. You guys, without the range, you won't be able to transfer all of them at once. You got to do them one by one, and that's a headache. So let's go to 15, and we're going to hit enter. Now we are on all of these interfaces right here, right there. Okay, And now the same thing, let's just try to do, you have to switch them to access mode, because on the real switch it's on dynamic mode, and that's not going to allow you to switch it. Unfortunately, we can't show that scenario here, but let's double check if we actually transfer those ports 6 all the way to 15 to the IT department. So for us to do that, we're going to do show VLAN brief, and there you go. We've transferred port 6 all the way to 15 to the IT department. Now let's say you want to add additional security layer. So what we can do is we can remove all the ports from actually let's do, yeah, these are the only remaining ports right here on the default VLAN. So we're gonna remove them on a different port. And we're gonna transfer them to a different VLAN. And the way for us to do that is we gotta exit out here. Just so you guys can get used to all the commands, we're gonna do Control Z, start all the way from the beginning. We're gonna go to config T, and now we're gonna create a VLAN 20, and that's gonna be our new native VLAN. So we're gonna hit enter, and we're gonna type in the name. I'm gonna type in native VLAN, and I'm gonna hit enter, and again do show VLAN brief. Always double check, make sure the VLAN is created. Transfer all of these ports into that VLAN. So for the way to do that is, again, we're just gonna do switch port access. Just for the sake of example, let's do switch port mode access, because you do have to turn them into access mode. We're supposed to exit out. We're gonna go to interface, and we're gonna do range. You're gonna do F0 all the way to 16 all the way to 23, and now we're gonna put a comma, and we're gonna do gig 01-2. So that's gonna take all the ports from 16 all the way to 24. Actually, so we gotta remove them. Oh, 24-2. Yeah. So what this command is gonna do is it's gonna transfer all the ports from 16 to 24 plus the gig 01-2. And that's what this command means. It's going to transfer it to the native VLAN, the new native VLAN that we created. So we're going to do switch port mode access, and then we're just hit the up arrow key on your keyboard, and you can just erase the mode. And now you want to hit Control E on your keyboard to go all the way to the front. Access switch port access VLAN 20, I believe. Yep, it's 20, VLAN 20, and there you go. You're gonna sound like that little kid from TikTok. You're 20. And now we're just gonna double check. Do show VLAN brief. Excellent. Now all those ports from here, and now we're gonna convert all of these ports to have the. We're gonna convert all of these ports so they have what's called so they're gonna be on the new native VLAN, which is gonna be VLAN 20. So just for the sake of exercise, let's see if we can. So we're gonna check one interface show. Do show interface F01, and let's see. Nope, we forgot to do show interface switch port. And there you go. And we're looking for native VLAN. Okay, so this one is on VLAN 1 still, so we want to switch that. So in order for us to do that, we're gonna go to the interface 01, and here we're gonna do switch port, and you're gonna click on trunk, and don't forget, just click shift, and we're gonna hit native, and we're gonna do VLAN 20. You're 20? I don't know why I find that funny. Anyways, we're gonna double check that it's on the native VLAN 20 now. So we're gonna do show interface 01, and don't forget switch port. Then as you can tell now, it's on native VLAN 20. Tell it's on native VLAN 20. Unlike before, it was on native VLAN 1 on the default VLAN. So now let's say, okay, that's pretty cool and everything. So how do I switch all of the ports to native VLAN 20 now, the one that we created all together? So it's fairly easy. All we gotta do is use this command, interface range F, since we already did 1, so we're gonna start off with 2 all the way to 24, and here we're gonna type in switch port trunk native VLAN 20. And now let's check VLAN, let's check interface 2, and we're gonna go all the way to user mode, privilege, and show inter F02 switch port, and there we go. It's on native VLAN 20. So that's how you switch. So that's how you protect your default VLAN. And one thing we did forget to do is gig 01 and 02. So if you're following along with the video, use this as an exercise. Make sure these are on native VLAN 20 now, just so you can see. We are gonna check show gig 01. Don't forget the switch port. Again, if you make a mistake, just click the up arrow key and switch port. As you can tell, they're in VLAN 1. So if you're following along, if you're not and you want to learn the skills, I will advise you to do it on Packet Tracer and follow along, and do this exercise. Put them on native VLAN 20 now. And that's all we got today.